In this video, I'm going to share with you guys how I personally get back on track after falling off my routine. Recently, I stayed up very late. I also doom scrolled a lot and didn't study as much law as I should have because I literally have my bar exam in September this year. And I hate to admit it, but I also watched some, naughty videos, if you know what I mean. And I don't know how it is for you guys, but whenever I personally fall off my routine and I'm just like in this rabbit hole, I feel like a piece of shit. Now, I would say, and this is something I'm generally proud of, that I'm a very consistent and disciplined person with a lot of willpower. But since I'm a human being myself, I from time to time do slip up and I do fuck up my routine. And for those instances, you need a protocol, a system that you can just follow to get you back on track. So point number one that I want to cover is absolutely fundamental in terms of your mindset, but it's the most important. You need to expect that you will get knocked off your track eventually, because we're humans and life comes in a way, family responsibilities comes in a way, or university, college, work, etc. We can't be happy, we can't be disciplined 100% of the times, but that's also the beauty of life, I would say. And I feel like in the current landscape of influencers, of inspiring influencers, there are kind of two approaches how you can get back on track when it comes to your mindset and your mentality. The first thing is kind of like the David Goggins type of mentality, where you're brutally honest with yourself. For instance, if you're obese and fat, in this David Goggins type of approach, you would tell yourself that. You would look in yourself in the mirror and say, you're a fat piece of shit, look at your belly.
That's fucking disgusting. You need to get back on track.
The second type of mentality you could have is the type of mentality where you give yourself positive affirmations. This approach is sort of more sensitive, so you wouldn't say, oh, you're such a fat fuck like in the first approach. Instead, you would tell yourself something like, oh, everyone is human, we make mistakes from time to time, let's just get back on track. And since I researched a ton and I identified these two categories, I don't think there's a wrong or right approach in general. It just depends on you as a person. Are you a more sensitive person, or are you someone who likes to hear the brutal truth and likes to have the pep talk, right? I personally found out for myself that the perfect approach that gets me back on track when it comes to the mentality is sort of like a mixture between the two. Now, let's talk about some specific strategies that I always implement in my protocol, in my system when I lost track. The first thing that really helps me is to set the bar as low as possible. It's similar to when you're like really fat and you're not in shape, but you have this huge goal of running a marathon. You can't expect the next day that you're able to run a whole marathon unless you're David Goggins and you can run on broken legs. Even to this day, after exploring so many self-help related stuff, I still make that mistake of setting the bar too high. I have to remind myself, take a step back, make it as easy as possible for you to get the momentum going, and over time, if you progressively overload, similar to like the gym, where you stack up more and more weights each time, that's when you make real consistent progress over the time. So the other day, I was really disappointed that I woke up at 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning because I used to wake up a lot earlier, and I know deep down that I should wake up a lot earlier. But instead of saying, oh, okay, you know what, today I'm gonna wake up at 5:30 a.m. and then the alarm goes off and you just hit the snooze button and you don't actually wake up, and over time you kind of lose self-respect again because you realize that, oh fuck, I didn't keep my promise. Instead of doing that, I just say, okay, you know what, yesterday I woke up at 9 a.m. I want to eventually wake up at 5:30 a.m. So what I'm going to do is, today I'm going to wake up 30 minutes earlier, 8:30. The bar is so much lower, it is way more achievable, because once you gain a little bit of self-respect, it kind of reinforces your identity as, oh, okay, I'm someone who can keep my promises. So next day, I'm going to reduce it again, let's say 8:15 or something. And I do that until I reach my optimum goal, which is 5:30 a.m. The second thing I really love to incorporate is to have an accountability partner. I used to be the guy who just wants to work out by himself in the gym. I'm just gonna put on my headphones, work out in the gym, and go home immediately. But for a couple of months now, I've been working out with a really jacked Indian dude. Let me tell you, not only in terms of my physical progress, but also my mental progress, because this guy trains way harder than me. He pushes me, and we keep pushing ourselves basically during our sessions. And let me tell you, it's way easier to go to the gym and lift really heavy weights or do cardio or abs with another friend who does the same, because then this kind of competitive mindset comes up. I want to eventually surpass this guy. Another thing that could really help as well is to incorporate some challenges with your accountability partner. For example, if you don't show up to the gym, you have to pay me $1. We personally have a push-up competition going on, so whoever makes more push-ups at the end of our session gets a free pizza or something like that. And although the stakes are really low, it's not really a lot of money on the table, it still has like this ego thing where you don't want to lose your friend, and it just is such a great great way to stay accountable instead of just depending on your willpower. And the last tip I want to give you is to use visual cues. This is something I learned from the book Atomic Habits. So basically what James Clear talks about in his book Atomic Habits is that if you want to establish good habits, you need to make them obvious. You need to put them in the frame of your eyes. And if you want to eliminate bad habits, you need to basically get them out of your sight, out of your mind. For example, if you want to practice the guitar and you see that you don't practice enough, maybe that's because the fucking guitar is not in your room easily accessible. That was the case for me. It was like on top of a fucking wardrobe, so I didn't ever see it. Once I actually put the guitar down, when I walked out of the room, when I walked into the room, I saw this guitar. Guess what? Now I'm playing the guitar a lot more often. And you do the opposite to bad habits. For example, if you don't want to watch porn or stuff like that, eliminate all the visual cues that kind of get you into these naughty habits. For example, I reflected on myself and I thought, why am I watching these type of videos although I know it's so bad? Well, sometimes on my fucking Instagram feed, there are like naughty girls or like girls who dress up very in their bikinis or something like that. And you know, man, I have two brains, so I think with my second brain from time to time when I watch these things. So just press the not interested button on your feed and just clear your entire feed. And once I did that, now I don't have any problem with, you know, the porn thing anymore. So these are the 4 things that I personally do to get back on track again and to not depend on willpower alone. I really hope it helps you out as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.